The world watched with bated breath. Former US President Donald Trump had unleashed his weapon tariffs. Aimed squarely at India, these tariffs threatened to cripple the nation's economy. The world braced for a swift and forceful retaliation. But India had a different plan. Instead of mirroring the aggression, India made a surprising move. They chose diplomacy. India opted to engage in early trade talks with the US. This bold strategy aimed to secure a favorable trade deal, a beacon of hope in the face of economic uncertainty. This decision sent shockwaves through the global community. Many questioned India's strategy. Could dialogue truly triumph over the raw power of retaliation? Had India miscalculated, leaving its economy vulnerable to a fatal blow? The world waited, eager to witness the outcome of this high-stakes gamble. India had cast the dice, wagering its economic future on the power of negotiation. The tension was palpable. India's decision to choose dialogue over retaliation stemmed from a calculated assessment of the global trade landscape. The US tariffs had ignited a firestorm of responses, with countries like China and the EU choosing to retaliate with tariffs of their own. India, however, recognized a unique opportunity amidst the chaos. By choosing negotiation, India aimed to position itself as a reliable and cooperative trade partner to the US. This strategic move aimed to secure a competitive advantage over other Asian economies grappling with the tariffs. India's approach was not without its critics. Some argued that this passive response projected weakness. They feared that the US would exploit India's willingness to negotiate, extracting concessions without offering significant benefits in return. However, India remained steadfast in its approach. They believed that a negotiated settlement, however challenging, offered the best path towards a mutually beneficial trade relationship with the US. This bold move showcased India's commitment to diplomacy and its ambition to secure its economic future. While India's decision to pursue dialogue was lauded by some, the economic realities of the tariffs began to bite. One sector hit particularly hard was the diamond industry. India, a global hub for diamond polishing and cutting, relied heavily on exports to the US. The tariffs threatened to disrupt this vital trade route, potentially leading to job losses and economic hardship for thousands of workers. The once vibrant industry faced an uncertain future, shrouded in the dust of economic uncertainty. Economists predicted a significant slowdown in India's economic growth. The tariffs, they warned, could shave off a substantial portion of the GDP, casting a shadow over India's economic aspirations. The situation was dire, but India remained resolute. They believed that the potential long-term gains from a successful trade deal with the US outweighed the short-term pain inflicted by the tariffs. The fate of the diamond industry, and indeed the entire Indian economy, hung in the balance. Section 4. A World Divided. Contrasting Reactions to US Tariffs. India's response to the US tariffs stood in stark contrast to other nations. The European Union, a powerful trading bloc, responded with retaliatory tariffs of their own, igniting a transatlantic trade war. China, another economic powerhouse, followed suit, engaging in a tit-for-tat tariff battle with the US. This divergence in approach highlighted the complexities of the global trade landscape. While some countries opted for confrontation, viewing tariffs as an affront to their economic sovereignty, India charted a different course. India's decision to pursue dialogue was seen by some as a sign of weakness, a miscalculation that could leave them vulnerable to exploitation. Others, however, viewed it as a shrewd strategic move. By engaging in negotiations, India aimed to secure a more advantageous position within the global trade order. The contrasting reactions to the US tariffs underscored the high stakes involved in international trade. Each nation, guided by its own economic interests and political calculations, navigated the treacherous waters of global trade, hoping to emerge stronger and more prosperous. Section 5. High stakes on the table, India's concessions and the uncertain future. As trade talks between India and the US commenced, the world watched with bated breath. India, in a bid to sweeten the deal and appease the US, made several significant concessions. Tariffs on high-end motorcycles and American bourbon were slashed, demonstrating India's willingness to compromise. Furthermore, India agreed to withdraw its digital services tax, a move that directly benefited US tech giants. These concessions underscored India's commitment to securing a favorable trade deal, even if it meant making difficult choices. However, the outcome of the negotiations remained uncertain. The US, emboldened by its economic might, drove a hard bargain. The specter of the tariffs still loomed large, threatening to plunge India into economic turmoil if a deal could not be reached. The stakes were incredibly high. If the negotiations succeeded, India stood to gain preferential access to the lucrative US market, paving the way for economic growth and prosperity. However, failure would leave India's economy vulnerable, its future shrouded in uncertainty. The world held its breath, the fate of India's economic future hanging precariously in the balance.